welcome back. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Natasha. She is based in Dubai and she is a wellness creator. And I really want to talk to her more about her concept of the power of flow, which is a way of living that has come into being. So, Natasha, welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for having me in your podcast. It is my pleasure to connect with you here.
Absolutely. So I really kind of just want to learn more about you, your journey, where it got to where you are today, and kind of what you have created.
Sure. I'll tell a little bit about myself. I have been practicing yoga for past 10 years, and that's one of my greatest passions. Before I started yoga, I was working as a flight attendant. So that was my journey kind of into yoga. It was something as a way of starting to take care of myself. And I soon realized how important it is to me and how movement is important to me. So I started yoga studio back home in Serbia, which is called the Power Flow. And this is where kind of everything started. The movement, physical movement, has become a way of living for me. And I'm right here now in Dubai, practicing teaching Pilates and yoga and living my flow.
Oh, I absolutely love that. Can you tell us more about the power of flow, what that is, and how that came to creation?
When I think about it now, when I was thinking about how will I call my yoga studio, and when I found this name, I just found it out. Okay, it's a very beautiful name. I'm teaching a vinyasa yoga. I think it's a really a good match, the power of flow. But the more I lived that yoga, and I'm not just saying practice, I really say live that yoga, it became really so much more. It really is a lifestyle, the way I observe life, following the flow of life and not forcing things to happen. For me, the power of flow is creating a spark and just later on allowing things to unfold, being so in tune with yourself that you can actually hear your intuition and follow the movement from there on.
Now, before you came into this yoga practice 10 years ago, did you have any inklings of, this sort of practice or kind of your intuitive side, or did it kind of all come into being after you began your practice?
I think I was always like a very sensitive person, and the way the yoga was suggested for me, like, oh, I think you can benefit from yoga, like with your work and everything. I think it can be beneficial for you. So this is the way I started it, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I really find I got a lot of benefit for it for my physical body. But what I didn't expect how it's going to affect my inner being, my emotional, mental being, and everything that it gave me.
I absolutely love that. And I think I've seen this multiple times where yoga is almost like that door to kind of get people to that other side of awareness of being in tune with themselves and the power of these movements, these very conscious and deliberate movements make such a big difference in your mindset.
Exactly. And this is why for me, I personally really enjoy flow yoga, any form of flow yoga, because it really brings me in the present moment. There is no thinking going on because you're just flowing from one thing to another. And this is how I kind of translate it into my life. And even if you practice yoga just for the asana, just for the physical part, you don't realize how it's working behind, how you're actually opening up from inside. Even if you are not actively working on it, you're still working on it.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And what kind of finally pushed you to switch paths, right? Because you were a flight attendant. So I feel like that's so different from, the whole wellness space that you're in right now.
Yes, when I started as a flight attendant, yeah, my wish was just to travel and everything. And I've been there for 7.5 years. So it's a long time for that kind of job. It can get really tiring. And I resigned my job. I was already like a supervisor and I was completely stressed out. And I realized that this is not the life that I want to live anymore, that I was not really enjoying this life. I don't see the benefit anymore. I've traveled so much, I've seen half of the world. And even though I loved it, I really did. It was amazing. But I felt my life is going in a different direction. I need more of a meaning for my life.
Yeah.
And this is how I transitioned. And it was just before COVID started. It was a very weird timing that I felt this need.
Wow. That is interesting. Yeah. Tell me more about that time because I think for a lot of people who are listening and in this community, 2020 was a big shift and a big turning point for many people because there was so much shaken up where, when things are kind of shaken up, that gives people the opportunity to see things that they haven't before, right? But good or bad. And I think it changed a lot of people's perspectives. And then that kind of reflected internally, right, to make a lot of changes. And it was almost a natural process where it was like, okay, now it's the time, and you have this urge to do something, but you're not sure why, and then it all makes sense, in hindsight. But yeah, tell me more about that time frame because that is an interesting time for it all to turn for you, right? Right before
Oh,
this big.
honestly, I don't think it was a coincidence at all because I felt the call to make that shift. And I had a feeling that, like, you need to change your life now. You need to leave now before something happens.
Wow.
But I didn't see it that way in the sense of something's going to happen in the world. I was working a very responsible job, and every day we had, not every day, but very often I had medical cases in flight. And sometimes I felt really the burden of that responsibility because I'm actually taking care of these people if something happens to them. And I was constantly having this thought like, it's enough. You need to leave before something happens because I was already personally ready. And
Wow.
I decided to make that move. I started my yoga journey. I did my course in Bali and I stayed there for over 5 months. And I feel that was a start of my personal awakening because my world stopped. I was living so fast for these 7.5 years, and suddenly everything stopped. And suddenly my inner body started to open up, and a lot of things started to come out. And once I came home from Bali and everything, I was planning to go home for 2 weeks and then planning to go to India to continue my journey. And then COVID started, and yeah, I needed to stop everything. So it was like a weird timing. But at that time, when everybody was scared, I cannot say that I was not afraid. Uh, there was a little bit uncertainty in me, but I feel like I used this time as best as I could. I was doing courses of psychology. I was practicing yoga every day. I was really diving into everything that I wanted. So I feel that time was like a starting of my awakening, let's say, and I think it's never over, really.
Yeah, I can reflect that as well. The same thing happened to me, and although it wasn't yoga necessarily that I had started, to practice, um, it was just a natural flow that progressed after COVID started, and I did a lot of that inner healing and used that time as such, like you did, so that 6 years later we're at this point where we're living in such a different way, right? And I love that this happened at that timing. And how has your perspective around like the collective energy changed since you've gone through your awakening?
Uh, I can see a lot more people awakening, and I especially see it lately, last year or two. It's like very intense. I
Yes.
can see it in society, like in my home country. I'm from Serbia. We have a lot of protests going around, and people are finally standing up for themselves and saying no to certain things. So I don't go too much into politics, but I can see people are expressing their inner values. They're not taking being suppressed anymore, and I'm very happy that it's like that. And I hope that things are going to get better.
Yeah, I think people, who are on the same wavelength that we are know that there is, the light at the end of the tunnel. And a lot of people are feeling like they're in this tunnel that just keeps getting darker and darker, right? But those of us on this journey can already feel the light and see the light and tap into that, right? Whether it's a lot or a little, we know the energy and frequency of this unseen world, of the new energies we're creating, and just of the effect that going inwards has. Right. And I also just love that, you did your yoga certification, right, in Bali. I think that's so cool. Can you tell me more about Bali? And then it's nice that you had this like itching to go to India, but now you're in Dubai. So I want to hear more about that little journey.
Sure. Bali was amazing. I visited India a couple of times. I stayed in like ashrams and I really enjoyed it there, but I wanted to go another time. Maybe soon, hopefully. But Bali was amazing, really. I was traveling a lot as a flight attendant, so I did visit Bali many times, but this time I stayed for like 5.5 months. So that was a completely different experience. You get to kind of live over there and to really experience, even the locals and everything. I feel that's like my happy place, really. I always feel so relaxed. I feel that I don't need anything material over there to be happy. Like I can wear the same clothes every day and I'm pretty okay. I don't really need to think about, oh, am I looking pretty enough
Yeah.
or anything like that.
Yeah, such a good space to be authentic. And where did you go in India? I'm just curious.
Trivandrum, mostly Trivandrum. I visited other places, but mostly while flying. But Trivandrum, I went for the Ayurvedic healing.
Oh, that's very cool.
Yeah.
I'm very
Yeah.
interested in Ayurveda as well. My background, I'm Indian, but
Mhm.
I'm not like well versed in that. And I've practiced yoga, but not to the extent where I have like the training. But I'm actually getting the inkling to get my yoga teacher training one day. So I think, that's something to consider too, because yoga, I'm sure you've realized, is not just with the physical, although the physical is such an important piece in order to, tap into everything else.
It starts with the physical. It starts everything. Whatever you practice, martial arts, anything, it starts with the physical, but it grows to so much more as you progress. And
Yeah,
you should definitely do it, yeah, if you have the inkling to it.
I have the inkling, so I'm like, okay, that timeline is there, and I'm gonna get there, when the opening comes. But um, I would love to hear now kind of more about what you're currently doing in Dubai and more about your yoga and wellness space that you've created online, or I'm not sure if you're in person as well, but it would be great to
Sure.
hear.
Excellent. At the moment in Dubai, I'm teaching Pilates in a reformer studio. That's my full-time job. And other than that, I am creating events, yoga events mostly. And yeah, I've been collaborating with great people. And here, situation in Dubai, we had a little bit of a unrestless situation, let's call it like that. And I have a feeling that people really came together, people who stayed. There are a lot of people who left, but the people who stayed really came together, and there's a lot of collaboration going around. And I really enjoy it. I really, really love it. I have met, finally, I'm feeling like I'm connecting with my people. I've been here in Dubai only for 1 year.
Wow.
So it takes time for you to meet people. And I'm very happy about that. So I'm doing events, teaching yoga, and I have my YouTube channel. It's called The Power of Flow. So you can find my practices over there. And yeah,
Is there
this is,
other social media that you're on that people can find you at?
yes, my social media, Natasha Zekovic Flow. Hopefully you can.
I will link it down below. So everything,
Okay, perfect.
and that's
Perfect.
okay, perfect. So people can find you on YouTube, on Instagram, and where.
Exactly. I also have an experience cruising. So I have been on a luxury ship called Explorer Journeys, teaching yoga and meditation and sound healing. So I kind of have a different background, like lots of different things that I've done. So
Yeah.
I'm very interested in like doing retreats and just like curating wellness experiences because I think we really need that. Like we don't need a lot of crazy workouts anymore. I feel like we need to regulate ourselves a little bit more. And the older I am, I feel that this is what we need definitely.
Yes, and bringing that simplicity into movement is a reflection of, I think, how we have to be in spirituality in general, because it gets so complicated. Like you said, movements can get overcomplicated, but so can our practices with spirituality and the mind. The more we simplify things, the more things
Exactly.
flow. The power of flow. It all comes back to
Exactly.
flow. All right,
You
awesome.
say it makes sense.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. Please check out my socials at The Om Way on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Spotify. You can also find me at theomlight.com. Sessions are now open and available. One-on-one sessions are super helpful for anything you may be going through in your life to help you feel more aligned and clear.